Vandalia was a name in the late 1700s of a proposed British colony in North America. The colony would have been located south of the Ohio River, primarily in what are now West Virginia and northeastern Kentucky. Vandalia was never approved by the British Crown and had no colonial government, although some Virginians and Pennsylvanians had already settled there. After the American Revolutionary War, the Vandalia settlers sought unsuccessfully to be admitted as a state called Westsylvania. However, they had no legal title to the land and were opposed by the governments of Virginia and Pennsylvania, which both claimed the area as their own under colonial charters. Ultimately, the federal government split the area between Pennsylvania and Virginia according to the Mason-Dixon line. Kentucky was later settled as a territory and admitted as a state. West Virginia was admitted as a state during the American Civil War. In the 18th century, British land speculators several times attempted to colonize the Ohio Valley, most notably in 1748 when the British Crown granted a petition of the Ohio Company for 200,000 acres near the forks of the Ohio, near present-day Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The French and Indian War from 1754 to 1763 and Pontiac's Rebellion from 1763 to 1766 delayed settlement of the region. After Pontiac's Rebellion, merchants who had lost their trade items during the conflict formed a group known as the Suffering Traders, later to become the Indiana Company. In the Treaty of Fort Stanwix of 1768, the British required the Iroquois to give the suffering traders a grant of land. Those who benefited the most were Samuel Wharton and William Trent, known as the Indiana Grant. This land was located along the Ohio River and included part of the Iroquois hunting ground, which they had controlled since the 17th century. When Wharton and Trent sailed to England in 1769 seeking to have their grant confirmed, they joined forces with the Ohio Company to form the Grand Ohio Company, also called the Walpole Company. The Grand Ohio Company eventually received a larger area of land than the Indiana Grant. The development companies planned a new colony initially called Pittsylvania, but later to be known as Vandalia, in honor of the British Queen Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Strelitz in 1744 through 1818, who was thought to be the descendant of Vandalic tribesmen. Opposition from rival interest and the outbreak of the American Revolutionary War in 1775 to 1783 prevented the development of Vandalia as a full colony. During the Revolutionary War, some settlers in the region petitioned the American Continental Congress to recognize a new province to be known as Westsylvania, which had approximately the same borders as the earlier Vandalia proposal. As both the states of Virginia and Pennsylvania claimed the region, they blocked recognition of a new state. The Indiana Company presented a new bill in equity against the state of Virginia concerning their claims, but the ruling in Chisholm versus Georgia led to the 11th Amendment forbidding suits by citizens of another state, and the Supreme Court dismissed the Indiana Company suit, holding the constitutional amendment applied retroactively. Indiana County, Indiana meaning land of the Indians, derives its name from the so-called Indiana Grant of 1768 that the Iroquois Six Nations were forced to make to suffering traders under the Fort Stanwix Treaty of 1768. The Iroquois had controlled much of the Ohio River as their hunting grounds since the 17th century, and Anglo-American colonists were moving into the area and wanted to develop it. Traders arranged to force the Iroquois to grant land under the treaty in relations to losses due to the Pontiac's rebellion. Some of the grantees joined forces with the Ohio Company, forming a larger development company based on enlarging their grant of land. They proposed that the entire large area would become a new British colony, possibly to be called Pittsylvania or Vandalia. It was to be bordered on the north and west by the Ohio River and made up of what are now parts of eastern Kentucky, northern West Virginia, then part of the Virginia colony, and western Pennsylvania. Anglo-European colonists from Virginia and Pennsylvania had already started to move into the area, which was identified by these various names as Indiana and the other above names of some maps of the late 1700s. Opposition from other interest groups and the American Revolutionary War intervened before Britain approved such a colony. Afterwards, some United States speculators proposed setting up a state in this area to be called Vandalia or Westsylvania, as appears on the maps of this time period. But the states of Virginia and Pennsylvania claimed the land based on their colonial charters. In establishing the Mason-Dixon line, the federal government assigned the Indiana grant to Pennsylvania. And as population increased after the war, this county was made up in 1803 of territory from Westmoreland and Clearfield counties. It was formally organized in 1806. Kentucky and West Virginia continued to be associated with Virginia for some time, being separately admitted as states in the early 19th century and during the American Civil War, respectively. The area in Pennsylvania was unrelated to and was physically separated from the later named Indiana Territory, established north of the Ohio River in 1800 by the new United States. That territory was eventually admitted to the Union as the state of Indiana. Modern-day Indiana County was known as the hotbed of abolition and was home to at least 2 African Methodist Episcopal Zion churches, as well as other anti-slavery Protestants, such as Wesleyan Methodist and Baptist. It was also in Indiana. Local abolitionist leader James Moorhead published several anti-slavery newspapers. The first of these was the Clarion of Freedom, founded in 1843. Moorhead eventually sold the Clarion and founded a new anti-slavery paper, the Indiana Independent, which he published until his death in 1866. The Independent was published by his son J.W. Moorhead after his death. Blairsville was home to another abolitionist newspaper, the Appalachian, which was pro-free soil from 1848. Indiana County was an active hub of the Underground Railroad. At least 90 county residents are known to have been conductors or agents, guiding fugitive slaves between their hiding places on their way to freedom into Canada. In the 21st century, Indiana County comprises the Indiana, Pennsylvania Micropolitan Statistical Area. This is included in the Pittsburgh, Newcastle, Weirton, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio combined statistical area. It is the defined region of Pittsburgh Media Market, and Indiana County is served by 3 different area codes, 724, 814, and 582. The county proclaims itself the Christmas tree capital of the world, shipping over 1 million trees annually. Agriculture is the major part of its economy. The biggest celebrity in modern era to come out of Indiana County is, of course, famous Jimmy Stewart, who multiple museums and entertainment spots have been established in his name and honor. If you enjoy the media and entertainment value of this channel and the educational content that comes from it, I would implore you to please subscribe to this channel for more exploring the American frontier. Thanks, guys.